With all the retirement information out there, it seems like there are 100 different answers to everything. In today's video, I'm going to break down the biggest lessons I've learned on retirement, specifically how to retire happy and fulfilled after reading hundreds of books on the topic. I'm a certified financial planner and the owner of an independent financial planning firm. And every year I help clients all over the United States enter retirement successfully without them having to spend hours reading the books that I'm going to run through today. The problem with a lot of the retirement information you read online is that it very often will take you down the wrong path, leading to all sorts of complications later on down the line. Fortunately, in most cases, the information you do need to hear is often simpler than you think. Today, we're going to break down a few of those simpler retirement lessons and some actionable tips on how to act so that you can retire happy. Now, my experience speaking to hundreds of individuals and couples getting ready for retirement is that we put too much focus on the financial side of retirement and not enough focus on the fulfillment side of retirement. According to the National Institute of Aging, happiness is one of the primary drivers of longevity. But not only that, happiness is one of the primary drivers of physical health. A 2017 article from Time magazine titled, "Do Happy People Really Live Longer?" pulled data from a range of studies on longevity and had the following to say. Even after adjusting for factors like illness, finances, and depression, people who were the happiest still had a 35% lower risk of death. Another study of older adults found that happier people retained their physical function better than those who weren't happy. Their walking speeds even decline more slowly. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to share what I would call the retirement planning hierarchy of needs. And this would be the analog to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but geared towards people just like you who are trying to plan for a financially stable but also a meaningful retirement. The top of the retirement pyramid is fulfillment. In the middle is stability, and at the bottom is predictability. And while in this video, I want to share the lessons I've learned that help retirees reach the pinnacle of that pyramid of needs, the fulfillment stage. When it comes to retirement, we need certain basic needs to be met in order for fulfillment to even be an option in retirement. And it goes without saying that if you don't have enough money to meet your basic needs in retirement, it will be impossible to focus on other things. Thus, if we imagine the retirement hierarchy of needs as a three-tiered pyramid, achieving predictability or satisfying the base of that pyramid would be solving the puzzle of how do I retire when I want to retire? Retiring when you want to retire is all about having a plan in place to have the right amount of money to meet your basic needs by the age you desire. To help solve that puzzle, I'd like to share some lessons from a book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. According to Mr. Hardy, the compound effect is the strategy of reaping huge rewards from small, seemingly insignificant actions. Mr. Hardy says, small choices plus consistency plus time equals significant results. When it comes to meeting our base financial needs in retirement, Mr. Hardy's book tells us to focus on small, seemingly insignificant actions that can produce disproportionately large rewards. Mr. Hardy goes on to say that success is doing a half dozen things really well, repeated 5,000 times. In retirement planning, it can feel productive to try to tackle Roth conversions, RMDs, tax location, investment selection, asset allocation. But by spreading your attention across all those domains, it can give the illusion of productivity without the actual productivity. In actuality, if you want to retire on your timeline and on your terms, the best things to focus on are the following: how much you save, how much you invest, and over how long a period of time. And focus on those things in their simplest and easiest to execute form, with time being the most important of those two variables. So let's play out an example here on the screen. Say you decide to save $100 a month from age 40 to age 65, which would be 300 total months. You don't invest the money, therefore you only have two of the three tools I mentioned before working on your behalf. And at the end of the 25-year period, you would have saved $100 a month for 300 months, totaling $30,000 saved. Okay, now let's get all three variables working together. You save $100 a month over that same time period of 300 months. You invest that money into an index fund, let's say, that has an average annual rate of return of 6.5%. Well, over that time period, you still save $30,000, but because you now invest your savings, at the end of that 25-year time period, you have $75,000 more than double what you obtained just by saving. And the growth itself is $45,000, so 1.5 times what you saved. Now let's run this scenario for a third time, but this time let's optimize for time. So say you save $100 a month into that same index fund, getting 6.5% annual return. But now you start saving from age 25 instead of age 45. So you have a total of 40 years of saving compared to 25. By the end of that 40-year period, you've saved $48,000 in total. But because of the longer time period, you have nearly $230,000 in value by the end of that time period, more than triple what you would obtain just by saving. Now, this principle works in both directions. You can start saving earlier, or you can save for a longer time horizon. But we all know that you can't go back in time. So if you're 52 and you're watching this video, obviously you can't change the past. What you can do is focus your efforts on the most important dials. You can do what Mr. Hardy says. Focus on a small range of things, do them well, and do them 1,000 times. And that means if you're 52 and preparing for retirement on your terms, focus on saving more, focus on investing better, and give yourself more time. And yes, that might mean working longer so that your investments have more time to grow. But if you do that, you will have the base of your retirement hierarchy of needs met, and then you can move on to the middle portion of the pyramid, stability. Achieving stability or satisfying the middle tier of that pyramid would be solving the puzzle of how do you stay retired once you do retire? James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, which is one of the best books on habit building that I've ever read, says, the purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. True long-term thinking is goal-less thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It is about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. And ultimately, it is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. If we think that we have won the game by arriving at retirement's door with a big pile of money, we will end up losing the game. Surviving a 30-year retirement isn't only about having enough money. It's actually about arriving at retirement with the right amount of money and then being able to successfully stay retired. It's about successfully navigating the twists and turns that life will throw at you once you make that big shift into retirement. And it's about knowing that you will not run out of money so that you can actually enjoy your retirement. So how do we arrive at retirement and know that we won't run out of money? To do that, we need to think longer term. As James Clear says, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So we need to build a system that allows us to continue playing the game. That system is a set of processes that will determine our progress and ultimately allow us to make dynamic and impactful changes that keep our retirement financially stable. Using advice from both The Compound Effect and Atomic Habits, we want a system that focuses on a small range of the most important things, execute those things well, and then can be executed consistently over a very long time horizon. And that system looks specifically like the one I'm flashing up on the screen here. This is the actual monitoring and tracking system we use for clients at Peak Financial Planning. And I'm not gonna have time to go into every detail of this system in this video today, but I do have a free webinar that goes into extremely minute detail about our entire retirement planning system. And so you can click the link in the description to this video below to watch that webinar for free. But to review the system briefly with you now, we believe that tracking the following things you see on the screen and having contingency plans for when those tracked metrics don't go to plan is how you have a confident, stable retirement. And this includes tracking expenses monthly, tracking savings rate if you're not retired, and withdrawal rate if you are retired on a monthly basis, tracking your actual rate of return and comparing that to your portfolio's required rate of return on a quarterly basis, tracking your upper and lower portfolio guardrails quarterly, and then tracking your financial and life satisfaction twice a year. You would build the habit of tracking those things, and while you're tracking them, you would practice your contingency plans for when those tracked metrics go wrong. It's kind of like practicing evaluating a building, or in California where I am, learning how to drop, cover, and hold in case there's an earthquake. Modeling those things in advance in your mind and having specific documented rules about those things will keep you from panicking when things eventually do go wrong, which they will, because life is crazy and unpredictable. But now, because you have a system like this in place, you will have the stability tier of the retirement hierarchy of needs met and can move on to the third tier of the pyramid, which is fulfillment. Achieving fulfillment or satisfying the top tier of this pyramid would be solving the puzzle of how do I retire happy? Darren Hardy, author of The Compound Effect, once again has great insight. He says, too many people focus on achievement without fulfillment. When it comes to retirement especially, we think too much about the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow without enough thought about how to live a life of fulfillment with the pot of gold we worked so hard to obtain. In his book, From Strength to Strength, Arthur Brooks, a Harvard happiness professor, says that our happiness is determined by the ratio of our haves versus our wants. If our wants far exceed our haves, then we will be out of alignment and it will be very difficult to find happiness and satisfaction. So I'm gonna illustrate this with a simple example on the screen here. Let's say we have 2 wants and 2 haves. The resulting ratio produces a 1, right? 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. If we have 4 wants and 2 haves, the ratio results in 2 divided by 4 equaling 0.5. If we have 10 wants and 2 halves, that ratio further diminishes as 2 divided by 10 is 0.2. When we don't sit and clearly think about what we want in retirement, we end up with this never-ending, always expanding list of things we think we want. When if we simply applied a bit of thought to that list in advance, we might be able to whittle that down to the 4 or 5 things that we really want, the things that really matter. And I believe that includes enough money to do the things we want, meaningful relationships, and good physical health. A little bonus nugget as I bring this video to a conclusion here. There are reliable studies that show healthy people live longer because they are happier, but there's also great research that shows that happy people are actually healthier as a result of their happiness and therefore live longer. So the relationship goes both ways. So just a reminder, there are plenty of people out there who have tons of money and all their financial needs met, but are not happy or healthy. It certainly helps, but that alone does not bring happiness or health. My hope is that this video can provide you the reassurance that you can indeed have your financial needs in retirement met with enough confidence that you can turn your attention towards what your wealth was supposed to do for you all along. It was supposed to provide you a stable foundation upon which to live a happy, healthy, and fulfilling retirement. So with that said, I hope you will take some time today or this weekend or this week to sit and think, if my financial needs were met, what would provide me satisfaction and fulfillment? What things have I thought that I want, but don't really need or want at all, that could cause distraction or dissatisfaction in my life, right? How can I trim that have versus want ratio? How can I use my financial resources to provide me meaningful relationships and good health so that I can have the best retirement available to me? With that said, if you'd like to learn more about how we at Peak Financial Planning help our clients lead safe, secure, and fulfilled retirements, you can visit our website at www.thepeakfp.com. Thanks as always for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next video.